I was thinking about how important impressions are when it comes to life. I think what made me think about impressions was I saw a tweet recently about how some people have this preconceived notion about who somebody is based on what amounts to very, very little of their content, right? I think of around 300 videos, only 12 of them cover this topic. And that 12 basically informs their entire catalog for some people. And they were frustrated, clearly, because they had other things they wanted to say, other things they wanted to do. There were other moves they wanted to make in the space. But I couldn't help but not be surprised. I think impression's an interesting word because what it literally means is when you touch something, when you push something and leave behind a mark, right? Like a stamp or something. And there's a difference between being impacted by content and consuming it. If you're a Shorts watcher or a TikTok watcher, can you speak to 3 TikToks that you watched in the last hour? Or if somebody brought them up in front of your face and showed you 3 TikToks to ask you which of these you didn't watch in that hour, would you be able to identify it? We're in such a glut of information. We are in a time of unprecedented information bloat. And marketing actually has a term for when a piece of media or an ad actually does its purpose instead of you skipping past it or looking past it, where it actually matters, where you actually follow through. And it's actually called impressions, which is kind of funny. The impression that you leave on someone, it's really important to leave a good one. I made a video a while ago where I can kind of never stop being this kind of self, this kind of personality, because if I do, if at some point I sort of shake it or break it, then I might meet people who are going to get the wrong idea of who I am, right? If I'm as consistent as possible, as many people as possible are going to get the same impression of me. And I feel like you might feel that way as well. You might feel the urge to be read the exact same way in different contexts and such. I can't help but feel as though we overestimate the ability of our peers, of our viewers, of our friends, to look past the first impression we gave to them. When I talk to certain acquaintances, they still think of me as the dungeon master because the way we met is I was running Dungeons and Dragons at this corner in the college where 2 hallways meet, and then there's this 20-foot by 20-foot space flanked by lockers. And one of these times I decided to print out some pre-gens and run for all of them. And a lot of people still think of me as that person, the D&D person. There's a lot more to me, I'd like to think, but here we are. People still call me that. I feel like it's hard to be multifaceted for a lot of people. That's why you have friends, right? Friends aren't someone that you made an impression on. Friendships are a conversation between 2 people. No, to make an impression, to impress, is to strike somebody, is to make someone feel something, and they react. If only a specific subset of your content is impressive, makes people react and talk, they're going to think you of that. I've been thinking about that with my content too recently. I have 2 or 3 videos that have broken 1,000, if I can be modest. And past that, the majority of my videos sit at around 200 at most and 50 at least. And some of the videos that I'm going to be most proud of are going to be videos that nobody's going to see. I really, really enjoyed making and doing the lottery video. But I think people already have really strong conceptions on what that is about. On the lottery in general. But it was a really, really important video to me. You don't get to choose what you impress people with. Ultimately, to be impressed, for me to touch you, you have to let me. I gotta get away from that touch language. For you to be impacted, the impact entirely rests on you and your sensibilities and what you care about, right? Adam Ragusa, a cooking tuber, once said that you don't really get to choose what you get famous for. Very few of us get the opportunity to get looked at once, and we don't get to choose that. And very few of us get to roll that dice again, right? Which is why you have to always be on when you're in this space. When you're in a lot of spaces, you've got to always be on. Because people are going to only have you in their life once, likely enough. When you're at work and you're having that really rough day, they're not going to see that you are a struggling English student trying to make do with a rising, hiking rent. They're going to see, oh, this barista was really rude to me today, right? Think about the kind of grace you give people. Maybe you're more kind than everyone else, but think of the kind of grace you give people. I don't think we know how cruel we are in small ways, how inconsiderate we are in small ways. We don't realize how quickly and how consistently we write people off based on the value they do or do not bring to us. Well, other people may be different. I think it's not unreasonable to believe that they might feel the same way, right? If you do not like every single video that gives you a little chuckle, can you imagine how many interactions you can have, but not as many impressions? Ding, 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 10 minutes.